I joined in 1989 as a franchisee. One of the exciting things is that in only 15 years, we've opened almost 800 locations worldwide. At this point, there are franchisees who earn much more than I do, and so they're not really interested in my job. Auntie began at the Downingtown Farmers Market in 1988.
It's one of the great success stories of the last 2 decades. Having no money, but wanting to help her husband open a free counseling center, Ann Byler borrowed $6,000 to buy a concession stand which sold pretzels, pizza, and other snack foods.
And she tasted the saw pretzel that they began making after buying the business in Downingtown and said to her husband Jonas that this just doesn't cut it. We've got to do something with the saw pretzel recipe.
So Jonas started to experiment and soon came up with a new recipe.
And they baked the first tray of pretzels and offered the first pretzel to the customer. And
she took a bite of the pretzel, walked a few steps, turned around, and said to Jonas,
"Wow, I've never tasted anything like this." And that happened again and again and again, and that was really the birth of the pretzel.
Eventually they eliminated the ice cream and the pizza.
Soon enough, others started to make inquiries.
First it was relatives and then friends asking, "Hey, can I open one too? Can I open one too?" And
at that point, they had 40 locations, and they still hadn't even officially formed the company.
We had to figure out how can we, or what would be the best way to grow this business.
We realized that 40 locations, hey, we have somewhat of an agreement, but is it what we need?
Well, they had several options open to them. For example, they could have formed a sole proprietorship. They're easy to start, they allow you to be your own boss, and there's no special taxes involved. The downside is unlimited liability, they can be time intensive since you don't have partners, and the potential for growth is somewhat limited. Now they could have brought someone in and formed a partnership. Advantages include more financial resources, shared management and knowledge, and a better chance of survival. Disadvantages include unlimited liability, division of profits, and possible conflict among partners. The third option, form a corporation. Advantages include more money for investment, limited liability, and size. Disadvantages include extensive paperwork, double taxation, and difficulty of termination. It's important to note that even individuals can incorporate. Given these options, what form do you think Ann and her team chose? The answer? None of the above.
And so we went to an attorney and he said, well, in fact, you're franchising. And all of these things are required from a franchisor. And so we began to look for outside help to set up a franchise organization.
Now, hold that pretzel. What exactly are franchises? Well, along with cooperatives, they are special forms of business ownership. A franchise agreement is an arrangement whereby someone with a good idea for a business sells the rights to use the business name and to sell a product or service to others. As with all things, franchising has its advantages and disadvantages. Auntie Ann's takes care to explain both to potential partners to make sure that they find that comfortable fit.
Some people who come have very little information in terms of what franchising is all about.
Advantages include marketing and marketing assistance.
We pour everything that we've learned the last 15 years, opening 786 stores, into your store.
Other advantages include personal ownership. While you work under guidelines, you're still your own boss. Your skill, motivation, and hard work will determine your success. Other advantages include potentially a nationally recognized name, financial advice and assistance, and usually a lower failure rate. In Auntie Ann's case, part of this is due to their strong training program. The company has invested in its own Pretzel University, where trainees learn the basics in a mock facility.
The idea is to make them as comfortable as possible before they sell the product.
And then apply them for a week working in a real store which is open to the public.
And there are 6 of us trainers, and every week we get a new group of people who come in who are either managers or franchisees. And for 6 days we train intensely on operations.
I need jalapeno.
Disadvantages to franchising include large startup costs. Once accepted, franchisees must pay a fee to open a new location. In addition, all franchisees have to share a portion of their profits with the company. And while management regulation might be viewed as a disadvantage, Auntie Anne's sees it as crucial to their success.
You know, every pretzel is handmade. And so for us, that's a significant challenge. We invest millions of dollars a year into quality control and support operations for our franchise locations.
Other disadvantages include coattail effects. If the parent company has problems, that usually trickles down to the franchisees. Fortunately, this has not been an issue for Auntie Anne's. Restrictions on selling. Obviously an issue since Auntie Anne's takes so much time to choose their franchisee. Should that person want to get out of the business, Auntie Anne's wants to be sure the business isn't sold to just anyone. Fraudulent franchisers. For the lucky franchisees of Auntie Anne's, this is never an issue. Auntie Anne's takes great care not only to conduct themselves honorably and honestly, but also to build great relationships.
We've had probably 2 cases of litigation in 15 years, compared to many organizations that are, you know, in the 20%, 30% range.
You see, Auntie Anne's is unique in that they're not really in the business for personal gain. They give most of their money to charity.
You know, why would you do that? I mean, you want to keep your profit, right? And to Anne, the simple and clear answer was no. You know, we're here to give. We give, we get, we give again.
Diversity, e-commerce, technology, and international markets are all becoming increasingly important considerations for both franchisors and franchisees today. Anne has served as an example for many women in her industry and others. She takes pleasure in the fact that she has been able to help so many women become business owners themselves.
E-commerce is relatively new to us in terms of the internet through our website. And most of our franchisees do not currently offer e-commerce opportunities because, again, it's an impulse item, and we're sort of counting on people to come or walk by our store where we can reach out to them. But we also realize when we look at a map, as much as 800 sounds like a significant number of stores, we're only reaching a very small percentage of the potential. And so e-commerce is a growing side of our business, albeit a small one at this point.
With stores in over 13 countries outside the U.S., including Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, and Hong Kong, Auntie Anne's has plenty of international expertise under its belt.
In the course of our international expansion, we've learned that cultural variations have to be considered. In America, for instance, to eat on the run is very normal. In some of the countries that we opened in Asia, it was not normal. And so our licensees, you know, found ways to fit tables in or to train. In fact, in Indonesia, when we opened our first store there, the franchisee hired people to eat pretzels because there wasn't even a word for pretzel.
It has been a long but rewarding road for Auntie Anne and her team. After listening to their values, does this seem like an opportunity that would appeal to you? In a larger sense, would you see yourself as a franchisor or a potential franchisee?
Beautiful thing about franchising, we want you to succeed. It's not like, well, you figure this out on your own and we hope you do well. That's not what franchising is all about.
One thing's for sure, when it all comes together, it's a beautiful thing.
A location is found in their area, the finances are there, and the passion is there to have their own business. When that happens, that feels good, it feels right.